Welcome to this latest edition of the Real Deal Podcast. I'm your host, Real Gerald Quinn, recording this on a Wednesday evening. Hope everybody out there is enjoying their week as we enter, as this is the first podcast of a new month, the month of March. The year is almost a third of the way over with. Like it's ridiculous how quick this year is going by. We are right in the midst, soon to be in the midst of March Madness. The NBA playoffs will be here right before you know it. So we kind of gotten over that dead spot that's in the sports calendar once the Super Bowl stops, once the Super Bowl ends. So soon it'll be baseball will be here before you know it. Spring training has started from that standpoint. The Masters in April. So it's about to get to a point to where it's about to be one of the busiest times in all the sports, that April through June period, which is probably one of the best times, if not the best times in all the sports during the sports calendar. Big podcast here, NBA, of course, laden. A number of things happened during the course of the NBA. We'll deep dive with the Wembanyama, and also talk about the state of the Eastern Conference and the red hot Boston Celtics. I know they blew a game last night, but they still have been the team to beat in the NBA this year, and have been the best team in basketball, putting up historical numbers, which is what they're doing. But we begin with Victor Wembanyama, who has just amazingly gotten better during the course of this of the NBA season. This is despite being on probably one of the five worst teams in the league. The Spurs are absolutely awful. Oh, they've done a terrible job in terms of getting him the basketball. They've done a horrible job as far as the players they have around them. So they've been dreadful. Like, just putting it mildly, how bad the Spurs have been. Popovich has, took Popovich, forever, to get him to the center spot. Despite this, he is putting up nearly 21 a game, 10 rebounds a game, and leads the league in block shots, and frankly has become must-see TV. Like, you have to, even as bad as the Spurs are, when they're playing, I gotta watch part of the game and just to watch him play. He's had some games, the 5x5 game, the game where he just completely destroyed Oklahoma City, and frankly, they have actually played better against some decent competition of late. They had a great win against Oklahoma City a couple of days ago. Late last week, they beat Indiana. Now they got spanked by Houston last night. Got spanked by Houston last night, but they also played the Lakers tough last couple weeks. Lakers tough, played Sacramento tough. So that just shows you how great of a player that he's going to be. Like, the fact that they have been competitive despite how awful the rest of that roster is. And I'm telling you one thing, they are absolutely on the clock. This guy wants to be one of the greatest players of all time. He is serious about winning. He's not fucking around. Now, he's not going to come out and publicly complain. That's not who he is. He's a rookie. He's seen come off as a straight just professional. Is not going to. You haven't even heard quiet complaints out of him or rumblings from anybody around him. But I'm telling you right now, as dedicated as you have out there, some of the reports and some of the things that you've read about Wembanyama, he is serious about winning, and he wants to win. He is not he will not hesitate to leave San Antonio. Like, this is not going to be a guy. He's not going to be Damian Lillard. He's not going to be Kevin Garnett. I'm telling you that right now. He's not going to be loyal, if you want to call it loyal. He's not going to be one of these lifers that hangs around on a team that is not a title contender. The Spurs are absolutely on the clock. And there's, again, if you can't build around this guy, then you don't need to have a franchise. Like, this guy is probably one of the easiest. I think might be one of the easiest players to build around. He's unselfish. He can spread the floor with his shooting. he doesn't, and he does not demand the ball. Like he's not going to be. It's not like a situation with like James Harden or Luka or Russell Westbrook back in his day, where a high usage guy. This guy can play off the ball. He can move without the ball. He is like the ideal guy to build around a team. This is the guy. Like this is the guy. This is the perfect guy to build around. I think it's probably easier. I mean, it'd probably be easier to build around him than it is any other star in recent memory, including like a LeBron or a KD, or maybe not KD, because KD again is not a high usage guy and can play in any style as well. But he was a Steph Curry would be in that category as well, as being somebody that's easy to build around with their skill set. This guy, again, if you cannot build a team around him, then again, you don't then you're off at what you do. Like you can't remotely tell me that you can't, that is hard to build around this guy in terms of what he could do offensively and defensively. And we're just absolutely scratching the surface with him. Like you really are. And the fact that he's improved as the season goes along at a time when a lot of rookies hit a wall lets you know what type of player, what type of personality, what type of just what he has inside of him. Like, cause he's gotten better as more tape has gone, as teams have gotten more video on him. No, normally guys, teams start, seeing a guy a couple of times and get more tape on the guy and then picking up on their tendencies. That has been the reverse with him. And he is going to be a transcendent player. He will be the best player in the league in 2 years. Somebody said 3 years. I say 2 years. He'll be the best player in the league. Clearly, he would be. It won't be even a question that he would be the best player in the league within 2 years. I wholeheartedly believe that. To be honest with you, I would put him in. He has to finish in the top 3 in Defense Player of the Year. Like he has to finish in the top 3. Rudy Gobert is going to win that award, but I don't see how he's not in the top 3 in that category. As dominant as he has been defensively, he has a chance to be the best defensive player since Bill Russell. He has that kind of ability defensively to where he can just change a game and dominate it on the defensive end. So the Spurs are absolutely on the clock. He has become must-see television. He has separated himself from Chet Holmgren, who was having a great rookie season himself, but he completely has separated himself from Chet Holmgren. There is a difference. And anybody who watched those guys, anybody coming into this season, anybody who has watched them over the course of this season should have known that there's a difference. Like, it's like LeBron versus Kevin Durant. Durant is an all-time great. LeBron is, LeBron. Like, it's no different. That doesn't mean that Holmgren won't be an all-star, won't be in the Hall of Fame someday. I think he will be. And I think Holmgren will be a championship player even before Wemby will be, because he's on a much better team. But we're talking about, like, there are levels to this, and it's not even a question about who the best rookie is. And I think right now, he's one of the best 30 to 35 players in the world right now, to be honest with you. Again, putting up those type of numbers with a just god-awful team. And I mean a god-awful team that doesn't even know, they're still learning how to even pass him the basketball. And I'm looking at his numbers. First of all, he's playing about 28 minutes a game. His minutes should go up. So his minutes should be going up as the season goes along. I know they're still trying to kind of nurture him a bit and use him to kick gloves, but his minutes should be at 30 minutes a game. He really should be at 30 minutes a game. But his 3-point percentage has went up to 33. It was in the 20s for most of the season. If you look at the splits, you look at his splits over the month. Again, his 3-point percentage has gone up like every month, just about. He started out October at 26, went up to 27, 33, 32, 41, 55 in March. And since the All-Star break, 7 games post All-Star break, he's shooting 42% from the 3-point line. Again, his numbers have gone up seemingly almost every month past December, January, February, even into March. Had the big January with the 24 points a game. But he's gotten better in terms of his feel of the game. He's gotten better every month. And I want to say this: the amount of field goals that he takes is just not enough. Like he's at what 16 shots a game. He should be at 19 to 20. On that team, he's at what 16 shots a game. He should be at 20 easily on that team. Easily. On that team, he should be at 20 easily. Like I'm looking at the Spurs stats, team stats. In terms of shot attempts a game, Devin Vassell averages and Vassell is a decent player, but he's putting up numbers on a horrible team. Vassell's averaging like 15 shots a game. No, that's not too bad. Like that's not too bad. But the bottom line is, Wembanyama should be get him the ball. I want him to touch the ball on every possession. Like I want him to touch the ball on every single possession. To be honest with you, period, point blank. Teams, no more dead weight. We will touch on the. We will touch. We will discuss the Russell Wilson, of course, getting released from Denver Broncos and what that could lead to, not only for forget about for them, but for Russell Wilson and his possible next team. Boston versus the Eastern Conference. So last week we looked heavily at the Western Conference. This week we're going to focus on the Eastern Conference, and of course the Celtics have been playing out of this world. They have been playing. They are 48-13. Currently, they had the fifth greatest point differential in NBA history. They are number one in offensive rating, number two in defensive rating. They've been just destroying people. Like their point, this is a historic point differential. They're well on pace to win over 60 games. They're going to win over 60 games. They're going to have the best record in the NBA. This is the best Boston Celtic team in the Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown era. It's not even close. It's by far their best team. Those guys are at their best. You had Porzingis, who has been, and I like the Porzingis signing, by the way. A lot of people didn't like it. I actually did like it when they signed him in the offseason. They had to do something to switch up the team. Got rid of Marcus Smart, picked up Drew Holiday. This team absolutely should win the NBA championship this year on paper. Problem is the games are not played on paper. Boston versus the Eastern Conference. If you think Boston is going to run away with the Eastern Conference, let alone the NBA title, think again. You look at the Eastern Conference right now, okay? And forget about the standings. I'm looking at the standings right now. Milwaukee is coming. Okay, Milwaukee has had a big second half so far post All-Star break. They've had some big wins over Minnesota. Had a great win. I think their best win of the season, taking out the Clippers without Giannis and Paul George. And both Paul George and Kawhi Leonard played in that game, by the way. And if you look at Milwaukee, Doc Rivers has fixed the defense. Their defensive rating is up to 15th. Remember, for the most part, for the most of the year, it was in the bottom half, somewhere between 22 and 20 and even 30. They were awful defensively. They had the third best defensive field goal percentage against since the All-Star break. They're playing great basketball right now. And again, I don't trust Doc Rivers in the playoffs. We understand that, but Milwaukee's coming. And, they still have a guy. They play Boston. They will have the best player in that series. Giannis will still be Will still be the best player in that series. Make no mistake about it. Again, that game against the Clippers was a huge win. It was an important win in so many ways for Damian Lillard, who hasn't played well this year despite making the All-Star team, winning that game with no Giannis against the Clippers. I mean, that is that's their best win of the season. That's the best win of the season to me by far. So they're coming, and then you look at the possibility, right? You know, New York is going to get healthy. Right now, Boston's number 1 seed. Orlando and New York are jockeying for 4 and 5. Miami's in 6 and 9.5 game away. So let's say, for argument's sake, it's the Knicks. That is a tough second round series. Whoever Boston plays in the first round, they're going to cruise by whoever. They're going to destroy whoever they play in the first round. Like they're not, and it won't be. I don't think it will be the Sixers. That's again. Unless the Boston probably is going to, even that first round series could be tricky. What if it's the Pacers? It's not an easy first round series. Like if it's the Pacers or the Sixers, imagine if it's the Sixers with a healthy Embiid. So you have to go through the Sixers possibly with a healthy Embiid, then a Knicks team which will be healthy by the time you get them, and then get to the Milwaukee Bucks. That is not, and possibly even the Miami Heat. It is not a signed, sealed, and delivered that Boston will be in the NBA Finals. It's not. The playoffs are complete. If we've learned anything about the NBA in the past 5 to 10 years, don't compare regular season basketball to postseason basketball. Just don't. Just don't do it. Boston still, to me, takes too many 3-point shots, and the shot selection of Tatum and Brown can be suspect. It's that there's still something a little bit left to be desired with that shot selection. So I don't think it's lock and key, despite how dominant they've been, despite the fact that they are, basically 8 games clear in the loss column, clear of the Milwaukee Bucks. They're going to win that. They're going to win the conference going away on the regular season. They're going to have the best. They're going to have the best record in the NBA without question. But I'm not writing it. I'm not putting them, penciling them into the NBA Finals against whoever. More likely the Denver Nuggets. Not doing it. And in the series against the Denver Nuggets, I would pick the Nuggets. I think the Nuggets have the best player, and they have the 2 best closers, probably 2 of the 5 best closers in all of basketball in Jokic and Jamal Murray. So again, I understand Boston's putting up these big numbers. When they destroy them, they destroy people with, they can overwhelm you. What they did to Dallas and what they did to Golden State back-to-back was extremely impressive. The loss last night, that's not a big deal to me. They had 111 straight. Give Cleveland a lot of credit coming back from 22 points down without Donovan Mitchell, who will be out a couple games, getting shot, not shot in the knee, but getting a knee injection. So we'll see how that affects him possibly down the road. But it's not going to be a walk in the park in the Eastern Conference. It's not. Like these teams, the Heat, the Bucks, the Heat, Bucks, and Sixers are all battle tested in terms of playoff. In terms of the playoffs, they're all battle tested. They're all tough teams, and again, a wild card could be they could possibly be faced the Sixers in the first round with Embiid. Think about that for a second. Think about that. Embiid is going to come back. Now, if he comes back and plays a couple weeks, Sixers probably won't be in that 8th spot. Probably won't finish 8th. They'll probably move up a little bit, but we'll see. I mean, Miami, more than likely they're going to place more than likely with the play-in situation, they're probably going to face more than likely Chicago or Atlanta, depending on what the play-in situation. But it's not on the table that they could face the Sixers. Either way, the road's going to be much tougher than what people think it is. Boston is not just going to, I think, run away with the Eastern Conference. I just don't think that's going to happen. As talented as they are, I think that's going to be a tough road to get to the NBA Finals, But again, if it's going to happen in any year, it has to happen this year for Boston. It absolutely has to happen. They they almost have to win a championship this year. They almost have to win a championship this year. Before we get to who won the week? LeBron James, of course, 40,000 points. 39 years old. It'll be 40 in December. Is going to have, like, you're talking about 40,000 points, 10,000 rebounds, 10,000 assists. He has the consecutive points game streak of scoring 10 or more points. I think that's at like 1,290 some games. It's an unbreakable record. I think the most impressive thing about LeBron's career is you look through his stats, you look through all the years. He's never had a bad year. He's never had an off year. 21 years. He's not one off year statistically. His worst year was his rookie year. When he won Rookie of the Year and averaged 20 points and was like 25-5. That was his worst year. Like, put that in perspective. Like, you never say, oh, LeBron was kind of slipping a little bit. That conversation has never happened. And just to continuously reinvent himself, adding things to his game with the post game, adding knowing how to use his body, the footwork, adding things, with the Euro step, continuously evolving over the course of his career. And again, no player, again, if you listen to this podcast, that I think Michael Jordan is the GOAT. We're not going to debate that. That's a conversation for another day. But no one has ever played at this level at this high of a level as long for this amount of time as LeBron James. Like, there's no, like, that's all there is to it. Like, in terms of year 21 and still arguably probably one of the top 10 to 12 players in the world. Does he impact the game at the level that he once did? No. I'm not going to say his numbers are empty calories, because the Lakers are probably going to be in the play-in or in the playoffs, but and be somewhat dangerous. I don't trust him as somebody that can challenge for a championship. But, you look at his on and off numbers, the Lakers are mediocre when he's off the floor. I mean, that's all there is to it. So he still has an impact on winning to a certain extent. The question is, what is it going to look like moving forward once he becomes a free agent, right? Once he becomes a free agent, because he has an opt-out clause, and with Bronny James Jr. and all that, what could transpire with that? More than likely, the Lakers are going to give him a 9-figure deal and give him one last supermax deal for him to ride off into the sunset as a Los Angeles Laker, more than likely. But it's LeBron James, so who knows? But again, looking at the totality of his career, he's never had an off year. It's never. Not one year where you could say, well, he was slipping, or no, that hasn't existed. There's no 11 points a game year. There's no 8 points a game per game year. No, he's been basically 27, 7, and 7 for the duration of his career, and been one of the more durable players in NBA history. And again, that number, 40,000, again, I will never say it. When it comes to these records, sure, there were some people that didn't think Kareem's record was going to get broken. So I'll never say it can't happen. Luka certainly is a candidate. I think Wembanyama is a candidate, to be honest with you. I'm just putting it out there. And there's always a next. There's always somebody coming down the pike that we don't. There's a young 10-year-old out there that we don't even know about. So players are playing longer than they have ever before. Scoring is up. So there's a possibility. Is it likely? No. But there's definitely a possibility that somebody could reach 40,000 points. So LeBron James, wins the week as he continues to, despite the fact that in year 21, be the Lakers' best player, and he is the Lakers' best player, even with Anthony Davis on the team in year 21. So Russell Wilson gets cut from Boston. From Boston, gets cut from Denver. To no one's surprise, they take the largest cap hit in NFL history at $85 million. Listen, I'm not going to call the trade for Russell Wilson the worst trade in NFL history. You can look at the Cowboys, Herschel Walker trade with the Vikings back in the day. You can look at Ricky Williams, what the New Orleans Saints gave up for Ricky Williams when they drafted him, the draft day trade. It was insane, and it has not aged well at all. Go look at that in 2000 or 99. No, I think it was 99. What the Saints gave up to get Ricky Williams, a running back, not a quarterback, a running back. But this has to be like the dumbest trade in recent memory, considering the fact that if you're an organization, right, and you see a guy, you see a league where there's not that many great quarterbacks, and you see a franchise just cut bait with a guy that's allegedly still in his prime, don't the spider senses have to go off? Like, shouldn't the bat signal go off? In terms of like, hey, do they? I mean, they clearly know something that we don't. You trade for them, and not only give up a mad picks and some players, you sign him to a $245 million deal on top of it. So you think that he's worth all the equity and capital, not only that you've given up for him, but you think that he can raise the level of your team, because once his contract kicks in, you're going to start losing talent. So you're paying him like a top quarterback, like a top 5 quarterback. And again, Seattle knew what time it was with Russell Wilson. Like, hey, he's, it's not so much he can't play anymore, but we're not going to extend him for $245 million. And if we're not going to extend him, then we might as well just cut bait at this point. Like, we've gone as far as we're going to go. Won a Super Bowl with him. He's not the type of player that's going to raise the level of the talent around him once we start losing players after he signs this mega deal. So Seattle saw that. I don't know how Denver, again, this was a similar situation a few years, like about, I want to say this was like 2010, 09, 2010, when the Eagles cut bait. I think 2010, when the Eagles out of nowhere cut bait with Donovan McNabb. Andy Reid got rid of him, cut him. People were like, oh, wait, man, how could they cut Donovan McNabb? He's, 6-time Pro Bowler, led the Eagles to 4 straight NFC championships, made it to the Super Bowl in 2004. Andy Reid knew something that the rest of us didn't. The guy wasn't good anymore. And he had a season in the red. He played 1 year with Washington, and then basically that was it. He was done. So, you don't see the, Steelers back in the day used to cut defensive players. They were done. When New England used to cut players, for the most part, they were done. So you gotta be worried. You gotta understand, as an organization, there's a reason why this guy is why they're shopping this guy. And again, franchise quarterbacks don't grow on trees in the NFL. So again, I blame Denver has nobody to blame but themselves from this standpoint. And on top of that, you hire a coach that never was going to be a fit with this guy. You hire a coach that tried to play good cop, bad cop with the quarterback, and immediately that relationship was doomed from the start. So this is all on Denver. This is 100% on the Denver Broncos. And as far as Russell Wilson moving forward, if you're going to sign Russell Wilson, you have to ask yourself as a team, what are our realistic expectations? If the expectation is to win a Super Bowl, then he's not your guy, because that guy is not, even if you don't have to pay him a lot of money, which they won't this year. That guy is not putting your team over the top to win a Super Bowl. He's not. Like, that time is done. That time is done. He never was that guy, to be honest with you. Like he never was that guy that, that made a team a Super Bowl champion. They had a great defense. They had a great running back. I'm not going to, not going to get into his game manager system quarterback. No, he's better than that. But he never was a guy that could make other players around him better, even at his absolute best. He was never that guy. You never talk about Russell Wilson as the top 3, top 5, as the best quarterback in the league. He never was on that level. Never. Ever. So now he's only going to get worse as he ages. And he was okay last year. Put up some empty calorie stats on a team that didn't go to the playoffs. Okay. Wasn't as bad as he was in 2022, but he was still, again, good stats on a team that didn't make the playoffs. That doesn't get me excited if I'm a team that's trying to sign him. I wouldn't touch him. I'm sorry. Unless you're telling me, again, it's all about your expectation level. Now, if you are saying that he's a stopgap to your next franchise quarterback, to your next franchise guy, okay, cool. Sign him. You don't have to pay him a lot of money. All right. You're gonna lead us to our next franchise quarterback. We're not signing you with the thought that you're going to lead us anywhere, or that the thought that you're going to play more than 2 years. But if you sign him thinking that you're going to be a contender or legitimately try to contend for a Super Bowl, then you absolutely lost your mind, and will absolutely pay the price for that. Finish off with Caitlin Clark. So Caitlin Clark, who will be without question the National Player of the Year, recently broke the all-time record in terms of points. Has signed this record NIL deal and is being propped up as one of the greatest college basketball players of all time, despite the fact that she has yet to win a national championship. I think Caitlin Clark is absolutely a phenomenal basketball player. The ratings, the interest that she's drawing speak for herself, with a number of eyeballs watching her. So that goes without saying. Caitlin Clark, but here's the problem. We can't elevate, I've watched women's college basketball over the past 25, 30 years. I've kept up with it enough to know who are some of the players of all time, like Cheryl Miller, Diane Taurasi, Cheryl Swoops. I can go on and on and on. Shamika Holesclaw and what have you. Lynette Woodward, whose record she broke. The list, the list, it's an endless list. I can give you about 25 to 30 players. Breanna Stewart from Connecticut. I mean, I can give you 20 Connecticut Huskies and Tennessee Volunteers, Lady Volunteers. Okay. But they are better than Caitlin Clark. Okay, period. We can't elevate her to this all-time great status without her winning a national championship. Because the bottom line is she lost last year against LSU and Angel Reese, period. And in women's college basketball, unlike the men's, there's no one and dones. For the most part, the women's players stay 4 years. The teams are loaded, stacked up with talent. So it's not like she doesn't have talent around her. But again, there have been a number of players that over the course of the history of college basketball who are superior to Caitlin Clark. Period. I can give you a list, a number of them. Maya Moore, Candace Parker. So, I can't put her on this all-time great, this game-changing. She's not in terms of popularity. Is she adding to the sport? Yes, but in terms of her on the court play, she's not a transcending talent. It's not a situation where we've never seen anything like Caitlin Clark. No, it's not that. We've never seen anything like Victor Wembanyama. Never seen anything like that. We haven't seen that. Caitlin Clark is not. That's not the same thing. So she's not on that level to where she's changing the game from that standpoint. Now, for popularity, is adding viewers, getting ratings up? Sure. There's our question. Is the women's game more popular than the men's game right now? Absolutely. Between her, Angel Reese, South Carolina being undefeated as of right now, yeah, there's just more interest in the women's game. It is. There is. That's and because there are no narratives in the men's games, in the men's basketball game, that in the men's college game right now that are compelling. What are the narratives in the men's game? Oh, you kind of going for a repeat? Okay, cool. What else? What else? What else you got for me in the men's game as a narrative? Versus Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and South Carolina possibly going for an undefeated season. But again, let's not elevate her to this immortal, all-time great status. You got to win a championship. You got to pump the brakes on that. She hasn't won a championship. She's as great as y'all making her out to be. Win a title, win a chip. That's going to wrap it up for this latest edition of the Real Deal Podcast. Have a great rest of your week. I'll see you next time.